Together, we will illuminate MIT. Now, bravo to all of you. In here, like I said, I want to applaud that. And I'm sure there can be some interesting STEM folks who would be glad for the opportunity to speak at MIT. I have often discussed a couple of things as relates to the universities, which is where we train the next generation of scientists, which is why this matters to me. And talking about it, the issues of trust and the issues of academic freedom and free speech on college campuses. And I don't need to belabor the point. There's a number of surveys of students and faculty at this point discussing the, at times, very hostile college campus environment currently. And there's a whole host of videos on this channel about that and covering those surveys, so I won't belabor that point. But every so often, you get a nice thing that pushes in a good direction, that is helpful in hopes of bringing about more viewpoint diversity, about improving trust in academia, and fixing some of the very hideous problems. And I go back and forth. That's a much larger question for another day, but I go back and forth between the notion of maybe there's something we can save in academia to we just need to start over. I go back and forth on that topic because academia is a touch of a mess, particularly in the United States right now. And as I've said a couple of other times and places, there seems not to be any desire for introspection. And then I see something like this, which I saw, obviously it came out right as 2023 closed its book for the time, and wrote the final chapter there, as it will. Pardon the tortured euphemisms, but anyway, from MIT students here, which MIT, as you recall, had the whole crazy thing of canceling Dorian Abbott because he dared to criticize DEI writ large. Perhaps used some language that I would not prefer to use, but at the same time, just criticize DEI in general. That caused a whole kerfuffle at MIT when he was invited to give the Carlson lecture. Thusly, the Earth, Atmospheric, and Planetary Sciences Department canceled his invitation. Princeton invited him to give it anyway, which it was a great lecture, by the way. And Dorian has since started this. He's behind the Heterodox SEM Substack here, which is where we find MIT students building new hope for free speech. Build new hope for free speech with the MIT Students for Open Inquiry are revitalizing viewpoint diversity, and creative ideas. So I figured this would be a nice way to start 2024, to actually get into what's going on that's a good thing here as 2024 starts, and hope for a new year. But in other ways, there are other things going on. But like Scientific American, which we'll get to that another time. But so let's continue here. We are the MIT Students for Open Inquiry, MIT SOI, America's newest college organization for free speech and academic freedom. We're leading the campaign to support MIT exploration of unique, vibrant ideas in overlooked or controversial fields. MIT SOI platforms independent thinking speakers to explore worthwhile perspectives rarely discussed in mainstream academia and news. We welcome all opinions on these perspectives. We believe that colleges especially should lead the development of intellectual curiosity and fearless discovery, opening spaces for questioning and engaging with uncommon narratives, and equipping the next generation of leaders with critical thinking skills. Critical thinking in the Enlightenment liberal sense, not in the postmodern sense, I would presume. Through our principles, we are building a beacon for free speech and open inquiry in academia. Hold on a second. The reason I wanted to say hold on a second is I wanted to check what was going on with this link, because I opened it up while I was talking, and I noticed that it is behind a password wall. So FYI, guys, you might need to make that publicly accessible, because I can't see it to see what your principles are. We've defended without hesitation our speakers' right to come to MIT and share their ideas. Many students applaud our bold stance, thanking us for giving them a home at MIT. I'm sure. MIT may have gone up in the college free speech rankings in the last year. It's still in a rough spot. The response from faculty, alumni, and public onlookers was overwhelmingly positive, with many notes of thanks and relief that finally action was taken at MIT to restore open inquiry and shatter the atmosphere of fear that grips those who challenge orthodoxy. Indeed. Some students chose to attack us. In our first week, a trans group sought to cancel Hirsch Singh. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the person's name correctly. Anyway, emailing to MIT undergraduates that he would be harmful. We stood our ground and thanked them for exercising their free speech. Realizing that direct confrontation would not work against MIT SOI, students employed craftier methods to challenge us, such as satire and memes. We will keep doing what we believe is right and honorable, introducing more speakers to foster interest in our mission and leaving the crowd to itself. Indeed. That is a good way to do it. Again, that other link is also behind a paywall, so I'm going to, not a paywall, I'm sorry, a password wall. So if some of this was supposed to be public, there's one particular problem with that, guys. There seems to be an issue with the links that they're not publicly accessible. But in terms of what you're talking about right here, that is exactly the right response with this when somebody's demanding that someone be not allowed to speak or someone not be hosted. That is exactly the right response to saying, yeah, thank you, we hear you, but we're going to do it anyway, essentially. This semester, MIT SOI hosted 4 speakers in 4 weeks. We kicked off by featuring Hirsch Singh, a former Republican presidential candidate from New Jersey, who shared his insights on politics from the inside. Next arrived Dr. Shiva, MIT 1987, a polymath leading a long, distinguished career as the inventor of the world's first email system. I did not know that. That's pretty damn cool. Founder of biological systems company Cytosolve and an independent presidential candidate. Dr. Shiva offered his perspective on the email invention controversy, Indian versus Western medicine, system science, and the machinations of politics. A week later, we invited Steve Kirsch, MIT 1980, a storied tech entrepreneur and COVID vaccine misinformation superspreader. After years of being censored, vilified, and denied the opportunity to speak at his own alma mater, we proudly hosted his return to the Kirsch Auditorium. Wow, the auditorium's even named for him. I'm presuming anyway. You guys, if you end up watching this, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I would presume if it's Kirsch Auditorium and there's Steve Kirsch here, it was probably named for him. Where he analyzed vaccine data and crossed the Rubicon. We concluded with Derek Brose, founder of independent media organization The Conscious Resistance and author of How to Opt Out of the Technocratic State. Brose discussed the dangers of mass surveillance and algorithmic censorship and proposed solutions like using privacy-respecting technological services and building local communities. In pursuit of the American values of liberty, fighting spirit, questioning the status quo, and building a new future, we sung the national anthem at almost each event. On the whole, the fall semester was a thunderous success. At an institution ranked 136th for free speech, where censorship of non-establishment ideas smolders since Dorian Abbott's 2021 cancellation, we platformed heterodox and creative ideas which can lead to honest discussions and intellectually stimulating inquiries. In the spring, we aim to extend our mission. Many influential speakers have reached out to us desiring to speak at MIT. We'll not disclose their identities. It will be a nice surprise. That's a good idea. That is a good idea. I think you shouldn't disclose that in here. If you'd like to receive our news and updates, subscribe at mitsoi.com/subscribe. I wonder if it works. Guys, just you're having one problem. You're having one problem right now here, and I just make the point to show you because I clicked on the subscribe link, and this is what happened. This is what happened with all the links that was linked to your page. So just an FYI on that one. I'm sure it sounds fabulous, but you've got one particular problem. Whether the winds of fate blow in our favor or not, we will always continue to advance free speech at MIT, the tech and entrepreneurship capital of the world. Together, we will illuminate MIT. Now, bravo to all of you. in here. Like I said, I want to applaud that. And I'm sure there can be some interesting STEM folks who would be glad for the opportunity to speak at MIT. I can think of a few offhand just amongst the heterodox STEM community, such as Anna Krylov, Jay Tasman, amongst others. You guys could get Lee Jussom, the psychologist there, who's in the neighborhood in Princeton. No, Princeton. He's in the neighborhood in Jersey. Um, anyway, but you could get a lot of really interesting people to come up there to speak, and I think that you should. And I think, for you guys in particular who are doing this, you might go for some folks that you dislike actually showing up there as well. So I would go have some fun with these kinds of things, and most importantly, stick to the guns with this. I have often said in STEM, in science in general, in STEM in particular, it cannot thrive without diversity of thought, diversity of viewpoints. Why? Because that's how we end up checking each other's biases and making sure we get at the truth. If somebody approaches it from one perspective and sees a problem with the way a person approached it from another perspective, and it helps us in our never-ending pursuit of the truth. And that is the prime purpose of science, and that is the prime purpose of universities as well. So just thought I'd start the year on some good news. Here, let me know what y'all think. Hit the like button on the way at the door, comment on the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that lovely good jazz. Until next time, I'm Adrian. Stay curious.